Welcome to the TBD Leadership by Design podcast, leadership reflections for the moments that stretch you. I'm DrAngelaBatista, the Transformation by Design coach. I want to start this reflection with an important question. Have you ever been part of a team where you were technically included, but you still did not feel like you belonged? We all know that feeling. You were in the room, you were doing the work, maybe even doing it well. But something in the environment just tugged at you, telling you to hold back. That experience, that hesitation, that need that you felt in that moment to protect yourself is why belonging matters so much in leadership. People do not do their best work when they feel only tolerated. They do their best work when they feel valued, trusted, and able to show up fully. When was the last time you felt this way? When I think about where I first learned this, I do not think of a boardroom or a former leadership role. I go back much earlier. At the start of my leadership journey, I was a young religious class teacher in the small rural village community where I grew up. And even then, I was learning something that has stayed with me ever since. Leadership is not about only helping people to get to the goal. It is about creating a space where people feel seen, supported, and able to grow. This is what I learned from the adult leaders around me when I was a child. I did not have all the language for it back then, but I understood the feeling. I understood that people respond differently when they feel respected, when they feel invited in, when they feel like they matter. And honestly, that lesson has followed me through every season of leadership since. Leading with purpose matters because as the leader, you shape the culture, whether you mean to or not. Your team is always learning from how you show up. They're paying attention to what you reward, what you ignore, who gets heard, who gets interrupted, who gets supported, who gets overlooked. That is leadership. And when you as a leader bring clarity, empathy, and intention into the workplace, people feel it. Trust grows, engagement grows, performance improves. Not because people are being managed harder, but because they feel more connected to the work and to each other. That is where inclusivity and belonging move from being abstract ideas to real leadership practices. There's another important lesson I learned over the years. Inclusivity is not about making everyone the same. It is not about surface level niceness. And it is definitely not about performative language. It is about creating environments where different people can contribute fully. Belonging is what happens when that experience becomes real. When people do not have to spend their energy proving that they deserve to be there. When they can participate, speak up, ask questions, take risks, and know their presence matters. That kind of environment does not happen by accident. It takes leadership. It takes purpose. It takes intention. And it takes action over time. So what does that look like in real life? What should you be thinking and doing? For me, it starts with empathy. Not the soft version people like to talk about as if it's optional, but real empathy. Taking time to understand the backgrounds, the needs, the perspectives, and the lived experiences of the people you lead. Listening, especially when someone's point of view is different from yours. Not rushing to fix, not rushing to defend, just listening long enough to understand. That matters more than many leaders realize. Because people can tell when a leader is only listening for efficiency, as they can also tell when a leader is listening because the leader genuinely cares. And those two things create very different cultures. Another part of this is seeing differences for what they are, an asset, not a problem to manage, not a box to check, an asset. Different perspectives make teams better. They improve decision making, they widen what is possible, and they create stronger, more innovative solutions when leaders make space for them. But here's the catch. You do not get the value of differences if only a few voices shape the conversation. A diverse team without inclusive leadership remains limited. People need real opportunities to contribute, to influence, to be taken seriously. Inclusion does not happen by accident. It takes intentionality, and belonging is the experience you build through authentic, intentional, and inclusive leadership behaviors. That is where belonging starts to become tangible in leadership. And then there is psychological safety. I know the term gets used a lot, but still the core idea matters. People need to know they can speak up honestly without being punished, embarrassed, or even dismissed. They need to know they can raise concerns, offer ideas, ask questions, take a reasonable risk. If your team is quiet, careful, or constantly reading the room before they speak, that tells you something. It may not be about disengagement. It may be about safety. Leaders set that tone, not by saying the right things once, by being transparent, fair, consistent, and open enough for people to trust what will happen when they speak. That is not extra. That is foundational. Another thing purposeful leaders do is create opportunities for growth. Not only for the people who already know how to navigate the system, not only for the loudest voices, and not only for the ones who remind you of yourself. Inclusive leadership means asking who is getting development, who is being mentored, who is being stretched, who is being overlooked. Because if belonging is real, growth has to be real too. And people need different kinds of support. Some need encouragement. Some may need coaching. Some need access. Some need someone to say, I see your potential and I want to help you develop it. That is leadership with purpose. And one more thing that I find is really important. Belonging is strengthened through shared experience, through collaboration, through people actually working together in ways that build trust and connection. When teams solve problems together, learn together, and move towards something shared, belonging grows. Not because someone said the word, but because people felt it. That is why collaboration matters so much. It breaks down silos and builds relationships. It reminds people that they're part of something bigger than their role. So if you're wondering what inclusive leadership looks like, it often looks simple. Listening well, making room, being fair, supporting growth, inviting contribution, and paying attention to who feels at ease and who does not. That is the work of leadership. And it matters because when people feel valued and supported, they engage differently. They contribute differently. They stay differently. And they lead differently. In the end, what I keep coming back to is this. Leading with purpose is not only about getting results. It is about creating the conditions for people to thrive while pursuing those results. That is the kind of leadership people remember. Not because it was loud, but because it was real. Because it made room for people to be human, to grow, to contribute, and to belong. So here's one simple action to help foster inclusivity and a sense of belonging for others around this week. In your next meeting, pause and ask yourself one question before you begin. Who still needs more room in this space? Then do one concrete thing with that awareness. Invite quieter voices in. Make space for a different perspective. Follow up with someone who has been sitting at the edges. Shift how you facilitate so more people can participate. One action, one meeting, one step toward a stronger culture of belonging. Thanks so much for listening to Leadership by Design. If this resonated with you, share it with someone in your circle, a colleague, a friend, or someone else navigating their own leadership moments. And if you do, tag me at DrAngelaBatista. I love to see it and celebrate it with you. Save this episode so you can come back to it when you need it. These reflections are for the moments that stretch you, the ones that don't feel polished, and the decisions you make anyway. To learn more about my work, visit transformationbydesign.co. Lead with purpose. Lead with heart. Your transformation starts now. You've got this.